Today I want to talk about the number one skill building technique. It's a secret why some people progress in their work while others stagnate or even get worse, and it's called deliberate practice. When looking at great performers in any skill, the ones that are the best are always the ones with the most deliberate practice. There are direct corollaries between deliberate practice and, for example, musical ability or chess level. For the people that still believe in genetic predisposition, beyond the physical level there's absolutely no evidence that non-physical constraints to skill exist. However, you do need to do the math. You can't beat a kid who already has 10,000 hours of practice at the age of 16. So what is deliberate practice? Deliberate practice is working on technique, seeking constant critical feedback, and focusing on fixing weaknesses. When you carefully craft a practice routine, you are able to isolate different skills and work on them separately. By not putting a skill on autopilot, you are able to develop it further, but this requires a lot of mental strain. And because of this intensity, the practice is not always that fun. Most people just flip the autopilot switch and sit back. Deliberate practice requires you to constantly pay attention to the things that are going on. This way you create feedback loops for yourself so you know what you can do better. And then you can push yourself a little bit outside your current ability. This way you are able to grow your level of skill, but also requires you to fail again and again, review your work and try over until you get it right. Why does it work? The reason deliberate practice is so effective at increasing skill level can be found in our brain. Our brains are made to adapt to different situations. This is the one main reason why we are where we are as humanity today. 1 century ago we worked in factories and now we need to be able to sit at a desk and create valuable documents. To be able to sustain this change, the brain is very modular. It can create and reinforce neural networks on demand. This way we do not waste valuable biological resources on hardwiring them in. The neuroplasticity of our brain gives us the capability to create new pathways, but even more important is a substance called myelin. Once the pathways are created, myelin wraps around them. This insulates the pathways and in turn increases signal strength, speed and accuracy. By using deliberate practice, you isolate the parts of your brain that are essential for the skill. By only firing these neurons, your brain reinforces them with more myelin. This results in an increase of skill. How to do deliberate practice? Of course, you first need a skill or domain you want to master. You need to verify the type of practice this skill requires. There are 3 main models that the skill can fall into. The music model. You know what you need to do exactly like a piece of music. You just have to repeat it and polish it. The chess model. You're presented with a problem and your job is to figure out a solution. Pick a solution and analyze it if there's a better one, and why is it better. A good example are the case studies used in business schools. The sports model. Use this when it's a repeated action with slight variations. No 2 goals are the same but require the same base skills to achieve, so get stronger with these base skills. Use high repetition and quick feedback to increase them fast. Verify which model applies to your skill and then use that model to craft a deliberate practice routine. To create a routine, first split the skill into chunks that can be practiced separately. Second, use self-regulation principles and go slow to create quick feedback and improve. Before the work, use short-term process-oriented goals to hold yourself accountable. In the research, the poorest performers don't set goals. The mediocre performers set general goals, often focused on simply achieving a good outcome. But the best performers set goals that are not about the outcome but about the process. This type of work is focused on the attitudes and beliefs used in the work and is often very specific about which methods are going to be used to reach a certain outcome. During the work, self-observation is key. Always be thinking, what am I doing? Is this affecting me positively or negatively? Look for specific indicators that indicate your performance. After the work, rigorously evaluate the process and outcome. Try to be as specific as possible. How can I do it better next time? Is the main question to ask here. Third, deepen your domain knowledge. Domain knowledge is essential for the execution of deliberate practice. Without it, you cannot distinguish good from bad performance. And if you cannot distinguish good and bad performance, you cannot give yourself good feedback. Without feedback, your practice is lost, because how are you going to know what your goal is. So it's essential to make finer discriminations than average performers and know more from seeing less. This gives you the ability to evaluate your work and steer your practice in the right direction. Domain knowledge creates a framework on which you can hang your growing knowledge. By creating so-called chunks of knowledge, you will be able to recall information faster and remember it better, just as you can remember the word entrepreneur better as entrepreneur, because the word entrepreneur has a meaning and context behind it. By deepening your domain knowledge, you're also deepening the meaning and context of different chunks of knowledge that are used in your domain. This way you will be able to store way more information and remember it better too. The main takeaway. So now you know how to make a training schedule just like the ones professional athletes use. By using such a structured way of improving skill, you're able to gain skill very quickly, especially because most knowledge workers today just function on autopilot. They do not dare to enter the bittersweet spot and mentally strain themselves. This makes your progress seem magical compared to them. Now, whenever you are working, identify if you are actually just churning out work or if you are practicing your skill. If you find yourself only producing work like a machine, try to find the edge of your capability and step over it. Do this over and over again and your skill will improve like never before. An analogy I find quite funny is the whiskey analogy. I mean, if you take your first sip of whiskey, it's not that fun. Your face makes a weird twitch. You feel the burn running through your throat into your stomach. But just as deliberate practice, whiskey is an acquired taste. You need to remain in a bittersweet spot to eventually become comfortable with it. And the vision of how cool you will be with that cigar and that crystal glass of whiskey compels you to go through that period. Just as the vision of belonging to that top achieving group will keep you in deliberate practice. If you are serious about the field that you work in, use these principles to drastically improve your skill. This video is part of a 3-video mini course on productivity in your working life. If you like this video, check out the full playlist. It's linked at the end of the video and in the description. And consider subscribing to my channel. I focus on visually presenting concepts and really painting pictures in your mind by using fun and interesting analogies. I myself am a visual learner and I found out that I learn best this way, so consider subscribing if you're into that too, and see you in the next video.